A very good morning to everyone. You folks never fail to impress me. I'm so impressed at the turnout for this 90th webinar session organized by AABN on a Sunday morning, when we usually wake up to a laid-back agenda-free day. But as you all know, we at AABN have been trying to transform this lethargic phase into a productive phase by presenting to you a gamut of technical and business experts and seasoned speakers to talk to you about upgrading core skills and competencies relevant to changing times and future challenges. So at the outset, I owe each of you a big thanks for logging, and I assure you that the next 90 minutes is definitely going to be a rewarding experience with useful takeaways for us. Yes, I'm saying this with confidence because such is the profile of our guest speaker today. Creativity is the untapped and innate human resource whose potential economies have yet to harness. It can contribute to prosperity, to cultural exchange, and social justice. Creativity is the inspirational energy and knowledge that spurs many individuals to undertake new industrial ventures with a vision of the future transformation of their societies. While no nation inhabited by people can be short of creativity, innovation tends to emerge wherein the value of creativity is favorably perceived with a high degree of freedom to set one's own agenda, where creative talents are better organized through business and supported by institutions, and where competition encourages and, most importantly, rewards creativity and entrepreneurship. The main focus of this webinar is to make the participants get rid of the mental blocks and help them look at things from new viewpoints for innovative solutions. This webinar is also intended to bring out the creative potential inherent in every person, show the pitfalls of logical thinking, and the limitless options of lateral thinking for problem solving. The creative economy addresses important social and cultural needs, including cultural representation and social cohesion. It has also become an increasingly important sector contributing to economic growth in recent years. The nature of the creativity economy will continue to change, and new sectors could emerge entirely. Symbiotic relationship between segments are likely to mean advance in one part will stimulate growth in other parts of the creative economy, an ecosystem which in many ways thrives in a virtuous circle together. Today, Mr. HarishKumar will start this session interestingly with basic principles of new age creative approach and way forward. He will talk about breaking barriers in creativity and using technology to make solutions for making people lives easier. I have the pleasant duty of welcoming and introducing him today. Lived life out the box, building a creative play culture for exponential growth, an interactive business networking session. Harish is a multidisciplinary artist who has been designing spaces, creating films, and juxtaposing them for nearly 2 decades. In this journey, he constantly strives to live out of the box. He's an engineer with a master's in mass communication. He started his ad filmmaking career working under nationally renowned filmmakers like Abbas Mastan, Kunal Vijayekar, and the famous ad guru Prahlad Kakar. Then with acclaimed filmmaker Hariharan, he worked on a 3D film, Gulliver Travel, a 20 film, The Buddha, and a couple of documentary series on history of Tamil cinema and secularism in India. Harish has been a creative consultant with Reliance Communications in the New Projects Initiative Division, then set up Big FM Chennai and headed programming for the same. He was involved in training and grooming all the RJs of Big FM India. Today, he runs a production house, Hypnotics Entertainment, which specializes in creating branded content for leading organizations across the globe. He also runs Outdebox based in Singapore, which focuses on art, design consulting, and professional speeches for business leaders and senior executives on creativity and innovation using art as a medium. Harish speaks English, Hindi, Tamil, Bengali, Oriya, and manages a few others. There is so much to Harish Kumar's achievements and journey. I'm not sure if it can all be summarized in the limited time in the session. So without delay, I would like to open the floor to Harish Kumar, whose hard-hitting experience are bound to inspire and guide you. This is a story of a dream that turned into reality only because of his passion and his grit. It's a story of trump of hope and hard work, ideas and innovation. He is here to regale us with his astute experience. Once again, a very warm welcome to you, Mr. Harish, and over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gopi. I think that was like a wonderful, wonderful introduction. I think very beautifully crafted and done. And first of all, a very good morning to all the wonderful people in the room and with the whole physical world starting in, the Zoom attention, also we've been waning off and good to see on a Sunday morning, quite a lot of people up there in the room. So very nice. And I think a big round of cheers for all of you for being up here on this morning today here. So what I'm gonna do is feel free to interject, maybe through the chat room while I'm presenting, and then you can drop in your questions out there, and at certain specific intervals, I'll probably open up and have a word with you and try and figure out what we can do and understand. And of course, I would love to spend a lot more time doing the Q&A with you, because that's more interesting, because where we get to do a lot more magic around in this world. So I'm going to, hello, can we have all on mute?
We can hear you.
Yes. So our lives for the last couple of years has been quite a glitch, if I might say. The way we were operating our businesses, where our lives were going, to suddenly how things have changed. Isn't this the noise that we have and the glitch in our life that's kind of constantly interjecting and putting things in a different perspective? We were set to a pattern, a design that we had in our lives, which got completely disturbed. Something that we were never aware of, something that we were not prepared for. But then this is the glitch that kind of defined our lives over the last few years. What do we do in situations like this? Are we prepared for things like this? Or is this a glitch, a pretty normal thing of our lives? Don't you agree that glitch is what we are living through and facing everywhere? There is glitch in your communication. There is glitch in the family. There's a glitch in the way we operate our lives. And we are constantly trying to figure out, is there some peace? Is there some happiness that we can figure out in this whole context? And for that, I would say, why don't we start with something more meaningful, more relaxing, more purposeful? I would like all of you, I know the cameras are off, but I would like all of you to imagine the sea waves right now. Close your eyes. Take a few breaths. Deep dive into some of the thoughts that you had in your life. And think through what could have been nice and better. Hear the sea waves, gently hear them, slowly. Close your eyes. Imagine what your life could be in the next few years. Forget what happened in the past, what's gone through. Really soak in that energy into you.
Can't hear.
Just soak in that energy. Just soak, imagine yourself to be there. That's the wave we've all been used to, isn't it? The waves of the sound of the beach that we've kind of either loved or whatever it's been. But then this whole word wave has been redefined in the recent times. I'm talking about something that we aren't prepared for. What is this? What does this picture remind you of when you see something like this? Can we have some answers in the chat box? Any thoughts? What are we seeing here right now? Use your chat box, drop in what you think like. Or if you're comfortable more opening the mic and saying, you can unmute yourself and say that. What do you think does this image represent? A swan, a black goose, birds relaxing, the black swan event. Swans chilling out, goose relaxing after swimming. Uniqueness. Well, I got my answer there in the chat window. Yes, what I'm referring to is the black swan event. COVID-19 was like the black swan event that we weren't prepared for. A sighting a black swan is so rare, you don't get to see a black swan. And so was COVID-19. The wave that came, that hit us, we weren't prepared to handle that at all. Isn't it right? So for black swan events like this, what do? This beautiful artwork that's around me had consumed our lives. So this wave came, and shook us all up. What do we learn from that? Of course, there's been a lot of pain and problems that people have undertaken, but I'm not getting into that part. But I'm saying, what is the lesson that I can pick up from that? Or what is that one message that I can? Is there going to be a future wave, a wave of a different kind that I'm not prepared for? None of us are prepared for. And if such thing happens again, how are we going to cope up in our lives? That's something that I want us to spend the next 40, 50 minutes around, largely introspecting, because it's not about coming and saying something, but it's more about us introspecting. Are we ready for something of a future wave? Or if a future wave happens of a different kind, we don't know what that wave is going to be like or what that holds, but whatever that may be, are we going to equip ourselves to handle that? And how are we going to do that? That's precisely the thought process that I wanted to set the tone for the morning, that let's spend the next minutes in terms of understanding and kind of thinking a little more deep into what we are doing. How are we going to handle that? And in a situation like this, generally, what do? You see that most of us tend to become reactive. Didn't we all become reactive at when the COVID-19 happened? We jumped, we thought of something else. You saw the amount of learning sessions people did. People got into a panic learning mode, where people wanted to attend so many classes, sessions, let me do something, let me learn something. People were trying to catch up on lost time. People were trying to catch up on lost activities. It gave them a sense of reflection. It made people think. And people started reacting. I don't know how much of time people really spent, but people started reacting. Said, okay, a lot of people are learning. Let me also learn something today. What did I learn this week? How am I going to take it back and implement? How am I going to use this skill to make more money? Or how am I going to improve my business? How am I going to support my family? Lots and lots of questions running around. But I think people got into that extreme reactive mode. And we generally tend to do that. We tend to get into reactive modes. And when we get into the reactive mode, what are we looking at is we start looking for ideas. And let me tell you, this whole idea journey is an extremely lonely process. What you would see here is that we are always standing alone at this fulcrum. You might have your family, you might have your friends out there giving ideas. But remember this, the whole idea process is an extremely lonely and painful process. Yes, I'm repeating that word. This whole idea process is painful. Why? Because it makes you go through a lot of other thought processes, a lot of things that you're struggling with, a lot of things that you're trying to come out with. It could be even in your business, that when you try to get down to deep dive into finding an idea, we find ourselves lonely. And that's where we start trying to collect a lot of people to throw ideas. But then I want to warn you, when you do such an exercise, what you're trying to do is you're just borrowing some random ideas. You don't know what needs to be taken. But at the end of the day, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, or as leaders in an organization, that decision-making process of getting an idea, putting it together is a very lonely process. Because we're also constantly toyed between the two poles, you know. It's like the yin and yang, where we're trying to find whether the idea is original or it's an inspired one. Don't we have this battle where we try and figure out whether this idea is very original? So what's an original idea? I want to bring that question to you. What do you think is an original idea, according to you? You can drop those thoughts in the chat box. What do you think is an original idea, or what do you think is an inspired idea? Or does original idea exist at all? What do you think? Take a moment to reflect and drop down those thoughts, because it's very important that you get to that groove very early, because fundamental to what we talk or what we believe or what you're going to do, the thought of what you believe is very important. Do you think ideas are original or ideas are inspired? From failure and experience, you learn. There's nothing original. It is always inspired. Yes, inspired. Given group of people have not come across. Influenced. So from the chat window, I kind of gather the thought, probably the mood in the room is, the room feels, you know, there isn't any original idea, or it's all probably inspired. Ideas mostly germinate from necessity. Very true. Fight the wave. Yes. True. I'm going to get down to necessity is the mother of invention. Yes. Yes. Very true. What is happening is quite often when an invention or something is happening, yes, most often we push to a corner, then we start pushing ourselves to think a lot more differently. We redesign, we rethink, we reorient what we have been doing, and start wondering, can I do it this way or can I do it something different? Yes. And probably like what the debate was happening in terms of an inspired versus original idea. Yes, the debate is always like the chicken and the egg. But let me tell you something. We are a product of some kind of an inspiration or some kind of an observation or some kind of an experience. Because what we have or what is there within our brains or what we react is a sum total of that. How do we make a particular decision? Because you make that decision based on the kind of conditioning that has happened to you in your lives. It's based on the experiences that you have. It's based on the exposure that you've got. It's, of course, based on your belief system. And to understand why, for a same situation, that 10 people react differently. Don't you agree? In a same room with a single idea, we see that 10 different people react 10 different ways. And it all starts from the time we were born and the way we were conditioned. It also believes it's like this. Imagery. I want you to think, what does this image reflect onto you? What do you think this image represents for you? You can drop in your thoughts in the chat window. I would love to know, what do you think of this image behind you? Very simple. You don't have to think too much on this. What does this image talk about to you? Gathering. No common shelter. Lots of umbrella. Monsoon. Don't stop those blessings coming in.
Yeah, probably body immunity.
Shelter and defense. People are huddled during a downpour. Rain, don't want to get wet. Nice. You see this within a couple of minutes. We've had some mixed bag of thoughts for a single imagery. We interpret certain visuals the way we want to. But what I want to tell you here from this imagery is about the kind of conditioning that we've had from the childhood. Most often, if you see, we have been conditioned to think that we have to be like everyone. It starts right from the time you're born. At home, you're taught, this is how our family is. This is what our family values are. This is what our society believes in. And this is what you need to be like. Then this thought process gets challenged when you're with your peers, when you're with your friends. Then you go through this little conflict of understanding whether you need to fit into that belief system of what your parents said or what your friends are saying. So this everyone gets redefined from what your parents said, everyone, what your friends think. Then you come down to work. Then at your work, then you probably go to your school, you go to college, then go to work. At every stage, you see that you are being conditioned to fit into that culture, to fit into that society, where we are constantly told we have to be like everyone. At home, you have to be like everyone in the family, how the family behaves. When you're with your friends, you have to be like what all your friends think or do. When you come to school, you all wear the same uniform. You're all expected to sit down at the same time, stand up at the same time, wish the teacher in chorus, everything like everyone. And this continues till the day that you are living your life today also. From childhood to school, to college, to work, to marriage, everywhere you cannot constantly told to be like everyone. So with that kind of conditioning and programming, how do you become different? When you're not even told to be different, you're only told to be like everyone, which means you either fit in, you copy, you just be in that system of things. Just think this, how much of conditioning that has happened to you in your life all along. consciously, subconsciously, subliminally, whichever way, you have been constantly conditioned to think like everyone. And that's the cycle that you're all in.
Hello?
And if that's the cycle everybody is in, what do you do in the other end? Look at the other end of the world today in the current generation. What do you think this picture refers to you? Or what does this picture communicate to you?
Odd man out.
Odd man out?
Standing out.
Standing out, yes.
One of its kind.
Crowd, different.
One of its kind.
One of its kind.
Break the rules.
Break the rules, breaking the pattern, different.
The road less traveled.
Road less traveled, I like that. Making a statement.
Dare to be different.
Dare to be different. Stylish one in the midst of monotony. Wow, I like that. Someone likes yellow color. I love that. That's really different in the window there. But yes, what I'm, thanks for those wonderful responses. But what I'm trying to bring here, of course, a general thought process to an image like this would mean, yes, being different and all that. But I'm trying to push a little thought into more of these Gen Z and millennials today who have been conditioned the other way around. They have been made to feel that they are special. Everyone is special. Because they have been... They have been conditioned to think they are special in everything because they're fed with all the information. Any access to a gadget is at their hands. They are made to feel special. They get into a competition. You look at a competition today. There is winner, runner-up, first runner-up, second runner-up. Then there is some multiple 10 categories of awards. And then there are consolation prizes too. So everybody goes home with a certificate or some prize to be taken back. So what happens is that one end, the conditioning says that you don't understand who's a winner or who's a loser. Everybody goes home back feeling special. Or if not super special, somewhat special. And with this kind of conditioning, what is happening is you are just getting defined to be like, hey, I'm on cloud 9, come what may. Or they feel they are the privileged lot. They don't believe in a competition that puts one up against the other, or they feel, I deserve this. And they feel they deserve this because they feel, I think I've done this, I deserve the iPhone 13 Pro. You don't look at the conditioning, what is the background, what is the necessity, but you feel you're privileged enough to deserve that. And that is because they have been constantly conditioned to feel that they are special. And everyone is special. And when everyone is special, who's different again? Who is this different guy? So you see there are two paradoxes, that two different poles that we are living in today. One end, you have been conditioned to be like everyone. You have to be like everyone, you have to be like everyone, you have to be like everyone. That's probably a slightly older way of what's happened in life. And today, a similar redefinition has happened where you made to say, hey, you know what? Everyone is special. Everyone is like the same thing. Both are putting them into a herd only. When you had to be like everyone, you got slotted into that whole bubble. And when you made to say like you are special, and everyone is special, you're in another bubble too. And for this, the whole big important question comes. So who has to be the one, the chosen one? It's like the Matrix movie, you know, you need to choose between the red pill and the blue pill. And you need to make a choice. And who's going to make the choice? And how is he going to make the choice? And I'm sure you're all battling this question in your lives, in your families, in one way or the other. Whether you want to be with everyone, like all other businesses, or you feel like you're doing everything different and you're on the other side of the herd. So what do you do in a situation like this? For this, I'm going to kind of travel back a little bit in time and kind of take you through a little story so that this kind of puts things in a little more perspective. This was the year about 1999. I was in an engineering college doing my final years in computer, and I realized that I wasn't cut out for coding and writing long codes. The world was up there gearing up for the Y2K problem then. Everybody who did their coding and programming were all flying off to the US to fit in their career and figure out what they want to do. But somewhere I saw coding was not my cup of tea. And I thought, it's not something that I want to do. And I knew conditioning coming from a typical South Indian middle-class family, the aspiration levels were, hey, you know, you finish your engineering, you get a good job, you get a campus placement, you're up there, you're going for overseas visit, or you're an offsite, and you get to do and build your career up there. Somehow, this didn't fit into my scheme of things. And thankfully, I was in the final year, and I realized this is not happening. Till that time, I was kind of conditioned to be in that. You've been in this kind of family, you grow like this, you got your marks, you're studying in an engineering college, and the next step is this A, B, C, D that was kind of chalked out. But something triggered in my mind. And I came across graphics, animation, and things like that. And I realized, wow, this is something very interesting. And this is probably the part of computers that I was very excited about, and probably not the real coding. And probably I was trying to figure out answers for that. And then I realized, no, this is the side of computers that I love. And it's not the coding side of computers and probably building a business system or a financial system there. But then I wanted to get into something else. And the first step I thought was like, what do I do? And that's when I stumbled upon this wonderful thing. Back then, virtual reality was a very different thing. I was like super excited, geared up. I said, wow, virtual reality is so cool. You know, you can put on these headgears and you can attach yourself, and then you will get to do multiple things. And I said, I have to do my final year project on virtual reality. Guess what would have happened? I went back to my professors in my college. Everybody shut that story off by saying, no, who does virtual reality? And say, how are you going to do virtual reality? You're not going to get anything out of doing something like that. And I don't think you can get your project completed. I don't think you will get the right guides to help you out. But I was adamant. I said, I have figured out something. I know I'm excited about this whole gadgetry thing. And I think I want to make my final year project using this idea only. So when I started seeking out first I had to build a group who would be excited about doing it. They said, find a group. If you have enough batchmates, then you can form a group and do that. Then I went on a canvassing role with a lot of my classmates, figured out somebody who will be excited. Lucky for me, I found two other friends of mine, a great combination, somebody who was equally clued into visuals and graphics, and somebody who was very passionate about coding, but he liked this side of coding. So we formed a team and we said, okay, we all love doing virtual reality. We do this. So what do we do? So then we somehow managed, went to college. We said we have a team. We found some external guides, people to help us out doing this. And then I convinced the folks and the HOD in the college. Luckily, one of the HODs said, oh, that's a project we've been trying to tell a lot of students to explore. None of them explored. I'm happy that you guys have taken up, but I'm not confident that you guys will ever do that. But never mind, try it and give it a shot. At that point of time, that was good enough for us. We kind of took that up as a challenge and we said, cool, let's do this project out. And lucky for me, our project did really well after loads and loads of roadblock. We won the best project in the university. We got a special award for the project that we did, and it helped us. But my career changed from there. From there, it kind of gave me that little hope and confidence that if you kind of stepped out and try to do something, it's going to be difficult. A lot of people are going to say something that it's not going to happen. But then if you really stick to the line and find, you might connect finding the dots. Great things happen. And then soon what I got into a visual career. I moved into films. I did animation. I did graphics. I did commercials, music videos, documentaries. I worked in the media sector. I've worked in feature films in Bombay. Then I worked with television channels. Then I set up a radio station. I was heading that. I spent a fair amount of time doing all these wonderful stuff in my media career, so which kept me constantly excited and wondering. And I said, wow, that's the kind of creative life that I've been wanting. And that's like super exciting, and had great fun doing that. But then in that journey of going, traveling, building these up, it brought me down to a point, like probably a couple of 15, 16 years into that business. And then I realized, where am I? I was in this maze, a so-called creative myth maze. I was wondering where I was getting in this whole journey of being creative. I started off, I worked in media, I started my own company, a production house, we were doing work. But then I realized all the work that I was doing was kind of transactional. Somebody was giving me money to make something, I make and deliver. Yes, I would have that little consolation that, okay, I didn't get into that coding. I'm still doing what I really wanted to do. It's somewhere closer to it. But then I found I was grossly missing something. And I was caught up in this maze thinking, where is life headed to? I'm not very happy because I'm probably in the creative business, but I'm largely running around people, doing collections, managing teams and offices and stuff like that. And I'm not really getting fun or the core for what I started all this. I rebelled back at that point of time. At that point of time, probably the only blessing that I had was from my home, where my parents said, go ahead, if that keeps you happy, go ahead and do it. And with that one little mantra, I lived. But then again, midway, 15, 16 years into my career, I realized the whole happiness for which I started all this was missing. So why am I doing what am I doing? And if you are also somewhere in your career or business or family, that you've traveled through a journey and you get down to this question today. Are you happy doing what you're doing? It may not be just the money. It may not just the comfort. It may just not be the security. Dig deep. I want all of you to take a moment, dig deep and think, are you really happy in the stage that you are in? How many of you can say yes? How many of you can say no? Or how many of you can say, I don't know, where am I in? Can we have some responses in the chat window? Where do you think you are? Are you happy? You don't know? Or you're not happy? Nice. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, honestly. Happy. That's nice. Do more. I like that. Swinging between happy to not happy and sometimes don't know, which is very true. Which is very true. You're thankful, yes. Okay, I'll get down to that part a little later. You know, the gratitude part of it. 70% happy, happy, good. No more. Great. I find that little balance, and I completely agree with you, all of you here today, because okay, I like that. Honestly, never thought of mostly happy. I think that's a very, very powerful answer there. Most often, it's never thought of. We haven't thought of it. We are in that one little drive mode, in a cruise mode, you know. If you're content, you say, hey, you know what, things have been going right. You know what, I've got my house, my car, my kids, all of these in place. It's going on, yeah. Okay, nothing to complain much. Yes, you should have that gratitude, a sense of satisfaction and all that. I'm not questioning here that should you do more or should you chase more money? No, I'm not at all getting into that. But my question is, what gave you happiness as a child? What gave you happiness in school? What gave you happiness as you were growing or starting to work? Are those elements continuing still in your life? Or are those kind of triggers still giving you happiness? Or those modes changed? So I'm going to do a little exercise with you here. What I want you to do is pick up your paper and the paper, any kind of a paper or pen, and write down one little wish of yours that you felt you could do or something that you missed. And you would be happy if you could get back to doing it all over again. Not necessary that you need to share it. If you're comfortable, you can share it. If it's a lot too personal, you can hold it to yourself. But I want you to take a piece of paper, take that pencil or pen in your hand and write it down. I'm giving you a couple of minutes to think through and write it down. Think through really, really into it and think. Wow, that's nice. Wish I had mentorship throughout my life. Wow, I like that. I always wanted to be an admired speaker, and I'm to a certain extent, but for want of bigger platforms. Great. Nice that you're writing this down. I want all of you to write it out. My request to Mr. Vishwanathan would be like, you mentioned more as a wish. I would say write something that will give you more happiness. See, a wish that you had or somewhere forgotten or from your childhood, which probably gave you a lot more happiness. Or maybe I would say, which would have been like, hey, wish I was like, I would pick the cue from Mr. Ramanathan where he says, I always wanted to be a admired speaker. So if he would be really happy now, tomorrow he's on the TED platform or he's speaking on some other platforms and speaking, and that would give him a lot more happiness. I would say recognition is a very generic word. I would say try and define that. See, recognition gives happiness to a lot more people. I'm saying, what is that you did would make you more happy? Yes, I like what Mr. Ram is saying, should have gone into film making a lot earlier, nevertheless into it now. Great, great. Wanted to be an entrepreneur early in my career. Happily, I've started my journey now. Armugam saying, creating a unicorn through startup world. Good leader. I would say don't put too many larger words. I would say like words like unicorn and putting up a startup world would have probably come to you at a much later stage in life. I would say go a little more, travel a lot more back, where you would have had something more simpler in your life. Wish you'd said, I could do this, because creating a unicorn would be more like a business goal. I would see that. Whereas I would say, what is more intrinsic and personal? Touch lives positively. So what I'm going to tell you to do right now is, if you've done that, next is I want you all to take that piece of paper. It will be something like this. And what we're going to do with that paper is fold it like a paper plane. Like, those paper planes. I'm folding that. I want to show it to you. So first fold one side, then fold the other like this. Then fold one more side like this on top of it, all over again. So once you've done this, you'll get that paper folded like this. Now fold it further. And once you've done this, you'll probably get your rocket in place like this. Have you all made your rockets? Great, I see a yes there. Yes, 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 ready for flight, yes. And that's what I'm saying. Yes, sent across classrooms. So what I'm going to do, I'm telling you all to do is give your wish a little kiss and let this rocket soar and fly, and let it fly out. And that is something as simple as that I want all of you to get back to. Like when you started making paper planes, I saw Mr. Vishwanath say, send a lot of them in classrooms. I'm saying, look back at those moments, what gave you so much joy in making a little paper plane, or competing with friends whose rocket flies more or turns a lot more. Our wishes are like that. We are not giving them the wings. We're not willing to play. Like Mr. Pratap says, he wants to get back six-pack. I'm saying, what is stopping you? Get up there and hit and get back the six-pack. You're going to feel great. Or to somebody, it could be just as simple as singing or taking a music class or dancing. Like somebody said, want to do films, all of that. Get back there out. I'm saying, don't take it as a task. Take it as something of a play. I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to play and have fun. And that's exactly what we did as kids. And that is an inherent quality that we lost from our childhood due to all the conditioning that happened in our lives. All the conditioning made us to think we are serious, we need to do this, I'm the CEO of the company or I'm the managing director of the company. I can't indulge in doing this. I have to maintain a strict posture. I need to be very firm with my employees and teams. Then only, no. And in that whole conditioning process of conditioning, layers and layers of conditioning, that kid which was there right underneath has got squashed. Bring that out. You don't throw a paper plane today, but I'm saying start thinking that way. This is just a little point or a trigger, but I'm saying what other childhood things that you did or would give you happiness. Focus on those little things. Because moment you start to play, you will start thinking like a kid again. Remember what you did as kids. You were playing, you fell down, you would dust yourself, get back up and play all over again. Because at that time, the play mattered the most. You forgot about who you were, where you came from. When you were in the game, you played with everybody, you fell down, you ran, you bruised yourself, whatever happened, you got up and did. But today, are we having the same condition and tone and energy to do that? Most of us shed it out. Or we have it, or we covered it under layers of designation or growth or pattern or systems or society, that all these basic, simple little things have got quashed way in our system or in our conditioning. So it's there within you because all of you have gone through it, but it's somewhere deep down. You need to again rekindle and look back and bring that back again. And I'm going to throw a simple example. I'm going to get back to my story again here to tell what I did. Because I cannot really tell what you should be doing, but I can share an experience of mine to say what I did to overcome. And I'm sure you can reflect upon your own story to figure out what you can do. Like I was there, I felt choked in the creative business because I felt creative business was very transactional. And I said, what do I do? I felt and I found a lot of energy in colors and art. I said, I will start painting. So first thing what I did was I went and brought lots of large canvases. I bought paints. I was kind of totally out and I said, I'll start painting large canvases. And mind it, I had never painted huge canvases before. I used to just paint some small paintings and stuff like that. I said, no, I want to paint big stuff, not small canvases. I want to paint like 5 feet, 7 feet, maybe walls and things like that. And I said, where do I start? I said, okay, nothing doing. I can go buy those canvases. I'll buy those paints. I sat in my home, started painting. experimenting, painting, running layers and layers. My family thought I was crazy. Like, what has happened to you? What are you doing? And I realized I could sit on it for hours and hours and hours without even eating food, not looking at my watch, not looking at my mobile phone as to who's called me, what's the update, what. And I said, this is putting me in a state of trance. And I'm getting high on life without any induced substance or anything. And this is really giving me the high that I was looking for. And I said, okay, I probably found my calling. It was always within my sphere. It's just that I didn't spot that dot inside my sphere. I was doing everything around it. So I said, okay, let me do one thing. Let me just start doing painting. And you won't believe what happened. Soon I started painting. I started working with a lot of kids, doing workshops, activities, painting in public spaces. I put up paintings in my offices, homes. Soon it started spreading out to people wanting to buy that. And then it started turning out into businesses. Because soon people started seeing my work, and some architects came, because initially it was just my paintings. I said, who's going to buy? I took and put it up in my office walls. I said, it's my office. I'm going to put it up. Who's going to ask me? Soon some architects saw, they gave me, said, hey, why don't I pick up these paintings for one of my clients' house? It went to some houses. Somebody saw. They called me to design their clinic, then some hotels, then some auditoriums, then some experience centers. And things started cascading one into the other. I learned a lot with these kids. You know, I started discovering the power of these hands. When you actually take out and put and get your hands dirty to do this. I would get lots of big company CEOs to do workshops, take them outbound to interesting destinations, make them painting who have never done, and I would auction it back to them again. And that was the kind of things this little discovery started doing for me. From doing nothing, this suddenly started turning out from fun. It became exciting. It gave me travel. It gave me networking. It gave me doing multiple things. I was doing like workshops in Goa, in Kodai with multinational financing companies, banks, all of them, taking them out. You would see, I would take them out, make the whole corporate group of companies to make a film in 3 hours, or make an entire bunch of 100+ people to make a painting together in 100 hours. So these were amazing stuff, with things which are never thought to be very collaborative and doing things. People started doing these things together. And in that process, I was having a lot of fun. I would go about designing large spaces to designing huge buildings like these, where I would have never imagined I could design some spaces like this. I'm not a trained architect. I'm not a trained artist. I'm not a trained designer. All I knew was I loved art. I loved putting it up in spaces. I wanted to put it all together. And I realized that I could connect my art, my audiovisual experience of building, doing films, and my wishes of putting it up into large spaces. I suddenly saw it was all taking shape, where I could put down my art, my design, my audiovisual, all of that together. And it was taking shape into processes. And soon I saw this was never imagined. Now this has become a separate company and a separate business model. And it was really giving me a lot more satisfaction. So what I was wanting to bring to you guys was, you see all these tiny little dots around us. Our life is like that. In our lives, we have so many little things happening as tiny dots. We never travel back to look at it. So I would urge all of you to take that little moment, introspect, and look back what were those dot moments in your life, and see if there is a connecting pattern between these dots. And these dots connected would start giving you answer. A lot of you said, I don't know. Or a lot of you said you're happy, great, but still go back on this journey. Sometimes a little painful, sometimes dots that you don't want to visit, but it's okay. Visit them, think through them, see them. Somewhere you would see that these dots are connecting together and forming a pattern and telling you a message. The message that was all along there with you, but you have not been connecting these dots to find that. You look at the stars in the sky, they just look like patterns. But when you say a Rasi or a particular constellation, you see how they are connected to form that pattern. Our life is like that. It's just that we need to start seeing these dots, where these dots are, and start connecting them. Because moment you do that, moment you realize you are the chosen one. I asked you this question earlier, because for all these things, it's not anybody else. It is you and you who has to be the chosen one. Remember, taking a decision which is a little creative, or I would say which is very different, is a high risk, high return game. The risks are stacked way high on the other side. At the same time, the returns are also stacked really big and high. So you need to take that decision. You need to look at this pattern, take the decision to find, am I willing to choose or play the high risk, high return game? And you need to do this now and today to look back, because you can't be reactive all the time. You need to be proactive. You should know your pattern. You should know your style. Then you know what, come what may, whatever situation happens, whatever things, you know your pattern, come whatever situation happens, I know how to follow my pattern and come out of it. Because you've already done the networking of whatever has happened in your life. All that's happened in your life has a mission, has a message, and has a purpose. It's just that we are not connecting and finding that message. We've just let it as an event that's happened in our life. And once you do that, and don't do this as a rigorous exercise, do this as a playful exercise. Have fun and open it up. Do this with your family, do it with your kids, do it with your organization, because the moment you start building a fun culture, which is open, because most of the time we question why. Why should you do this? Why do you want to do this? Why do I want to do this? In a company, in a team presence, you would quite often question, why should we do this here? Instead, ask the question, why not? This little transition from why to why not will make all the transitions in your life. Why not will open up all possibilities instead of why. Why puts a closure to thinking. Why puts a closure to answers. Why not we try this? Why not we look at this? Why not we explore this? And try this why not even in personal life, in family. And you'll see a whole difference. And what this does is it builds a lot of trust. With play, what happened when you were a kid and you were playing? Your friends believed in you. Because you shed your vulnerability. You shed your tag. You were with your team, you were with your family, you lost who were, and you were playing. Bring that same thing back into your life and organization and start playing. And the moment you do that, you will see that people are that vulnerable side, they lead and they love that. Your vulnerability out there is not a weakness, it's a great strength. It's great for your team to think the boss is also like us. Boss need not be on a pedestal. Because what happens is when you're on a pedestal, they don't connect. They alienate themselves from you. I'm not saying dissolve the lines of hierarchy in terms of operational, but I'm saying as a human to human, as a person to person. Build that. Open your vulnerability. It's okay. I also failed. I also messed up. So what? Let's learn and move ahead. And once you do that, you will build the trust of your people. You will build that. And once that trust is built, I'm telling you, all the magic will start happening. And with that trust, collaboration starts to happen. Amazing sets of collaborations. And today's world is a creative world because you have to collaborate. You can't be in silos. You're good at something, I'm good at something, he's good at something. We need to see how we can put all of these together to find something meaningful. Isn't it? Because today's mantra is either collaborate or collapse. It's all about collaboration. Look at the youngsters. They do collabs on Instagram, they do collabs on Reels, and they figured out how, I have 1 million followers, you have 1 million followers. Let's see how we can collaborate and build into 1 billion followers. That's the way the world is thinking. And that's the way you need to look at your businesses also. So start building that whole thing about how can I build this whole thing about play, build the question of what, expose your vulnerable side. It's great. The world wants to see the real you so that they trust and they want to collaborate. And for that, I want to get 3 messages very, very straight, very, very clear for you to take back. Because if you're building a great culture, which can build growth for you you need this open culture. And without this open culture, growth in the next league is not going to happen. And for that, I give this little mantra: ready, steady, and play. What does this say? Give time every day to play. Have a designated time in your life. Come what may, at least once a week with your team. It could be an offside, or play necessarily doesn't mean cricket. It could be anything. It could be anything. It could be as simple as a fun time that the team has as a designated time, or with families that you design a set time. So get yourself ready for this. Very important, you strike the deal here. Give time every day or week to play. You need to have play. If you're not having play, you're not going to have that kid energy to devise and do everything. And steady. When I mean steady, get use of the power of your hands. We're all so caught up with our gadgets, our phones and watches and our tabs and systems, everything so connected that we use the hands the least. I'm sure today when you took the pencil, wrote down that thing on your paper, I'm sure it would have triggered something in your head. It's nothing that I did. It's what you did. You manifested the power of your hands and you put that little thought on a paper. I'm very confident you will really rethink about it very seriously. And I'm sure most of you will act on it because you are putting your thought to paper. And start doing that if you're not doing that. If you got caught up in too much of the gadgetry. And really play, because great things happen when you least expect it. And history is proof that all the great things have always happened when people least expect it. From Archimedes to Newton to all of them. It always happens when you least expect it. So make that little mantra for you in your life: ready, steady, and play, because that's what can drive a lot of energy in what you do. Build the culture for your organization, because if you build this culture for your organization, you're going to build something very creative, something that's going to be very proactive. And I can assure you, you're going to build a very happy place for your team and organization. It's very simple, because end of the day, no matter what we do, no matter what monies or status or recognition that we want, end of the day, as human beings, we want to feel happy about it. Find that. And I urge people to indulge in something like this, because it's only when you start thinking and doing something and getting out of this monotony set pattern and think that consciously. Don't wait for an external event to push you to do that, because then it's a survival instinct that is happening. I would say no, create that on your own. You think something different, you try and put that proactively, and I'm telling you that journey is going to keep you happy, not the end result. That journey of constantly doing something, changing, finding is what is going to keep you happy. It's always not the destination. And I'm sure great philosophies in the world have always said that it's not about the destination, it's always about the journey. So I urge and wish all of you to really relook at your whole purpose, get ready, get steady, and play. And I'm sure you will turn your organizations into a great place, open place with a lot of ideas flowing in. And I'm very confident all of you will build organizations that is all set for any kind of future wave. Thank you. And I'm now would love to hear questions from your end.
Thank you, Harish, for that outstanding session. We had plenty of takeaways from it. Thank you very much for your time and the encouraging and significant words, insightful words. Thank you very much. And we'll keep the floor open for questions now. Participants, you may please unmute and ask your questions, please.
So your presentation was very unique. I think you made it as virtual background. All your slides were made as virtual background and you timed your talk according to that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that was a wonderful and unique way of doing it. It was really out the box.
Thank you, thank you.
Friends, you may please unmute and ask your questions.
I see your hand there.
Yeah, Somsekhar, please go on.
Harish, it was an excellent session. And after a long time, it is something very, indeed, out of the box thinking, which is required for people to flourish. Now, I have a question. So, how do you identify your passion? Because some of the people have difficulty in doing it. Right? They don't know how to identify their passion.
Right. See, what I would say is always this whole thing about what always generally gets caught up in our life is the difference between passion, interest, and what you like to do. These are all very, what do you say, a khichdi of sort that we've all grown up with, where we think, I'm interested in this, I want to do this. Then somebody says you're naturally gifted at this, I think you should pursue this and you should do this. And then if you read things like Ikigai and things like that, the passion is something that you need to figure out something. What is that is giving me a lot of happiness? If I'm doing this task and I get a lot of happiness or it keeps me very happy, then amazing. And then from that, from that task of what is giving you a lot of happiness, do you see a larger purpose in it? Can I make this into a business, or can I use this to impact the world? And once you decide in that too, if it can become a business and if it can impact the world as well, then of course you found your Zen moment, your Ikigai space, where what you love to do is also helping you get remunerated, which is like make your living and everything out of it. And it is also having a purpose. It is impacting the world in terms of some kind of a purpose, in terms of it's helping a lot of people, it is changing their lives or solving crisis, whatever it could be. If you can find the A intersection, B intersection, C here, is where you will find the true passion for it. Otherwise, in simple terms, if you want to ask me, just say what passion would, I'm saying, just look at what really genuinely gives you true happiness, what task or what activity. That's your passionate activity. And you would be able to, where do you spend most of your time on? There are only two ways that you will spend on. Either out of compulsion, because you think I'm doing this activity because that is the activity that can give me money or that gives my survival or growth. Or the other activity that you'll spend most of your time on would be, man, I love this. I get a lot of pleasure and happiness doing this. So you will see that your passion is in that activity. I would say that's the most simplest mantra, just relook at it. I'm saying what we all don't do is most of the time we don't want to reintrospect. We spend time on everything else in life, but we don't want to reflect upon ourselves as to what is giving me happiness, what is keeping me down, where I have succeeded, what all things have failed me, what do I learn from it. I think we should do that as a small task on a weekly basis, or at least on a monthly basis, or at least a half yearly or an annual ritual that you should take time out, go somewhere, reintrospect and do that. And it is very, very important. Otherwise, we'll get disconnected and we'll start moving further and further away. And that's what is happening to most of us in our lives. We think we are happy. We think we are doing this. We mix happiness, contentment, satisfaction, passion. All of this are kind of turned and churned in one wheel. And we don't know where to pull that. But I think you'll have to disconnect and step outside and look at yourself as how you would look at your business or analyze. Put yourself out and you step out and then analyze yourself. You will find your true passion. Hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, sure. I got it.
Thanks.
You have an Instagram ID?
Yes, I'm Outdebox live on Instagram and Hypnotics. I'll probably put that in the chat window.
Okay.
Yeah, Ram, go on, Ram.
Yeah. Hi, Harish. It was an insightful session. Thanks, Gopi sir and the AABN for arranging this. It was really helpful. My question is, I know you have worked on some filmmaking. Wanted to understand on that lines, what kind of work is it on? Art related, or I saw your creating spaces and those kind of things. I'm also into a little bit of filmmaking now, so wanted to understand that if we can collaborate or leverage those kind of things. So wanted to understand that better.
Oh, sure. What do you do, Ram? Just to get.
I work in a IT company as a VP as well as part of fashion. I do filmmaking. So during the weekends, whenever I get time, actually. So that's a way, either be it commercials or short film, or I am also a reviewer, so blog writer. So that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, like I said, in terms of my journey has been from being an engineer to doing that side to actually being on the media side, where I worked on feature films, commercials, setting up radio station. I set up Big FM Chennai and I was heading Big FM. And post that, I started my own production house. So our production house largely does industrial films as our main staple business. So we work with most of the corporates in terms of designing brand films, corporate films, safety films, and we work with most organizations. And then we also do commercials, music videos, branded AV content. That's my production house, Hypnotics. Whereas my post-discovery side is where Outdebox happened, and Outdebox was more a resultant where I used art as a medium of doing that. So I design spaces, galleries. Like recently, we designed a complete permanent exhibition gallery for Shankaracharya. So it's a 30,000 square feet gallery. Then experience centers for builders and stuff like that. So that's where we've seen the transition has happened from choosing a particular art, then how you take the art into something else, and that manifests into something else. So we're always open and love to meet different people, collaborate. It's a complete collaborative scenario only, because I work with amazing architects. I work with amazing interior people, artisans, molders, statue makers, terrain makers, landscape people. All that I would have never imagined I would ever be working. But today I work, and all of these people I just got to know and started working by, I don't know how, then they say certain things conspires you to do something. Then you say, hey, okay, that's a pattern I didn't see. And somebody told me that's something that you need to do. And that's been happening. And I would not complain because it's exciting, because it's allowing me to explore more facets. I, of course, continue to do my audio visual and other things, but today I'm able to take art, I'm able to take audio visual, and I'm able to put all of that together. And it's a business, and it also gives me a lot more satisfaction in the areas that I'm doing. And I think that's the whole magic of doing things like that.
So, do you do promotions and post-production related works?
Yes, my studio, like Hypnotics, does post-production works.
Post-production, and you have an office in Chennai or one in Sydney?
We
have an office.
Yes.
Great meeting you, Harish. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Please go on, sir.
Hi, Harish. Very interesting talk. I enjoyed it. Actually, apart from our career or things what we do, passion, create money, can you have a passion as a hobby? It does not generate any money, but it will still keep you happy and you enjoy doing it.
I think it's perfectly fine. It's always not necessary that you need to do that transition of making all of it together. You can always say, hey, you know what? I have very clear goals and structure where one end I do this, like 5 days of a week, I'm committed to this, or I've traveled this journey so far. So I continue to maintain that journey of 5 days, but I'm going to take 2 days off. This is what I'm doing for more of my happiness or more for my soul. So you can very well do that. See, a lot of people do that in a structured way. Probably they say 5 days I'm in and 2 days I'm into trekking, or I'm going to do my nature study, or I know like in terms of a lot of people who are in the IT, they picked up, they're into wildlife photography and things like that. Very well known that they don't do that part of the wildlife photography to be a wildlife photographer. They continue to do their weekly business of that, but they're so passionate about their wildlife photography is they know in and out of the birds, their nesting season, they invest a fair amount of time, and more important, that gives them a lot of soul satisfaction. If they are doing only to post it on Instagram and get X number of followers, then probably it becomes like a business agenda. But if you genuinely love being there, waiting for the birds, sitting there, getting up early in the morning, watching them at sunrise, and it gives you that high, why not? If you can perfectly have something for your passion, because that's going to, like I said, be creative, be proactive, be happy. Not necessarily that you have to, it has to be your business. You can apply this thought to your business as well. You can continue to keep that as your hobby also, because it's giving you happiness. You're doing that ready, steady play, where you allocated that little time for you to set, you're playing it. I think that's good enough, because a lot of times people go out and play over the weekend, come back supercharged on Monday to get back to what work they're doing. If you're on that, like I would go out and play cricket over the weekend with some friends, even at these times, so that one match over a weekend gives me a lot more happiness, so that I know the Monday morning I'm great to do what I'm doing.
Yeah, thank you. Because why I'm asking is sometimes after retirement, people don't know what to do. They are completely lost and they are frustrated. And if you have something, you enjoy and doing it, you can do it throughout your life. For example, I do amateur radio. I have wireless at home, talk to people all over the world. But I'm doing this for more than 40 years. I enjoy it. Of course, you spend a lot of money, but it doesn't generate any income for you, but you still enjoy doing this.
Nice. In fact, I was going to ask you, because you sounded picture perfect studio kind of quality of audio when it came across.
No, I don't have any fancy thing. But by the way, I'm from Melbourne, Australia.
Nice, getting to hear from you and know that. And what exactly that you said is a perfect example of true passion. You know, what you do a lot of things beyond a point because it's just giving you a lot more happiness and you're not really seeking. And especially, I tell you need to pick this up somewhere midway in your life because when you're old, when you're retired from your day-to-day operation, you can't be blank because you don't know what to do. Then you start falling sick. Because your brain is like doesn't know what to do. But if you have something really to keep you engaged, you're more healthy, more happy, and it keeps you going really healthy. You really avoid the doctor as much as possible.
Thank you. I enjoyed your session.
Thank you. Pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, Arvind, please. Arvind, you may please unmute and ask your question, Arvind.
Okay, thanks, Gopi. Yes, Harish, I'm Arvind here.
Yeah, hi.
Yes, I had a chance to see in your website, the Outdebox Life, right? I have seen you have a presence in Singapore too. Can I know what type of operations you have it in Singapore? I'm from Singapore. I'm just eager to know that.
Oh, nice. We started our offices just about a few months just before the COVID hit. In fact, I'm going there for the last 2.5 years, been like no operations as such. I'm just going back a week later from there. Would be nice to connect with you. I'm there from...
Yes, yeah, maybe you can take my contact from Gopi. If you need any help in Singapore, please let me know. I will catch up with you.
Sure. It would be a pleasure to catch up.
Okay. Thanks, Harish. That's all, Gopi.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I will share you Harish's details, contact details. And
yeah, please. Yeah.
Also to Harish.
Yeah, please. Thanks, Gopi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, participants, you may please unmute and ask your questions, please. Ramnathan?
Yes, sir. I've been observing, listening, and participating in real time itself. I've been actively involved in texting as well as replying for his queries as well whenever he interacted while the session itself. I'm really enjoying.
Harish, you have your friend here, HarishKumar. HarishKumar?
I think she was on... I think she was off.
Okay, participants, you may please unmute and ask your questions, please.
I'll also probably drop in my, I think it's there on the screen behind, but anyways, I'll type and give it to you here.
Yeah, may I ask, Gopi sir?
Yeah, please, Sanjay. Please, Sanjay. Go on, Sanjay.
Yeah, Harish sir, it was a very, totally out of box type of, what do you call wisdom or something, which was, basically we are all into engineering and, and you are also an engineer. So the transition which you did from computer engineering to a totally, different field and the way you achieved successes. So this transition, was it smooth or in the sense that, or you had to do a lot of soul searching or you really felt that you are coming out of your comfort zone? Or is it something like as hard as breaking your eggshell and the chicken comes out? I mean, what kind of effort or a certain pain process, have you gone through? That's what I want.
Yes, if you honestly ask me if I have to give you a very honest answer, when I was going through, I didn't know that I was actually doing that. You go through as a wave, the wave is carrying you and you kind of going in that wave. And what probably I would say, yes, it was kind of painful in that process. I would say in terms of not really knowing, who do you go and ask questions or who's the mentor that you need to even go and ask. You don't know, so you end up asking different people, or you try and find solace with people who are probably kind of traveling in a similar kind of a journey and trying to figure out, okay, maybe the target is there. Like you would see in the movie industry, like a lot of people would say, you know what, I'll somehow make a movie and I will wait. Even if I don't eat or something, it's okay. I'll sell my house, everything, but I'll still go out and make a movie. So somewhere I would say, yes, you need that kind of madness out there, but then in that madness, somewhere you need to also have, like, because tomorrow if you don't survive, the third person is not going to come and lift you up. So you need to balance that out somewhere. But yes, I would say it's not a straight, smooth forward journey. I've probably I continue to do, I would say, mistakes. And I would say it's the mistakes is the only way I've learned. It's not my degree or something that is actually put me like, this is what you do. But then I've learned it through life, I would say. And I would say amazing set of people that I've met. I pick up, I would say, each person that we meet, like they say, you either had a great learning from that person, or you learned from that experience what you do. So there, of course, it's been a roller coaster ride, up, down, up, down. Don't know how it has been. But if I look back, I said, okay, great. We tried something, we experimented, and it's given a lot of fun doing in that process. But yes, I can probably today say that a lot more, but then when you're going through that, sometimes it's not very rosy and cozy. It is painful process. And a lot of, if you honestly go talk to a lot more people who are trying to bring something creative, I'm saying just try this even in your organization. You want to turn around something tomorrow, you go and say, hey, you know what, we'll follow a different process. It's not going to be so rosy and smooth. People are going to be defensive. See, by default, human beings are set to conditioning. They like we kind of like something to be very stable and believe that this is comfort for the rest of the life. And the same thing is also the problem, because that same steady thing going for a long time makes it so boring that you start doing either some other nonsense, or you start cribbing about life being nothing and happening in life. So the fundamental thing I tell you, just because you're going to be very steady with something, you think you're going to be happy, no chance, it's not going to be. You have to constantly do something. You look at even saints and rishis and gurus also, who kind of say, you know what, I've cut down myself from all worldly likes and disorder. They also constantly do something. They're constantly meditating, or they're giving pravachans, or they're giving talks, they're walking, they're traveling the world around to give and spread a message, because that's what is giving and keeping them active. And so that is what is to be realized in all of us, because what we do is we either fool ourselves being super steady. Man by default is kind of nomad. The man cannot be super stable and feel nice about it, because if it's too stagnant, he's going to mess something on his own, or something around him will change and he'll do that. So it's about constant. So we say that constantly keep churning, even if things are whatever steady. You don't have to rock the boat, but constantly have that mindset to change something, alter something, fix it, because that will keep you active till the day we die.
Okay, that was, very nice. And so this transition lasted a few months or more?
Yes. I would have been happy it was just a few months, but then it's been years.
And so now you have thought of another quantum jump in your, or you have already reached a plateau or saturated, or you explore much more of your capabilities and potential now?
Yes. What I would say is probably in terms of production, if you ask me, in terms of video production and all that, we've kind of said that's probably in terms of what we do as a day-to-day, what I would call as a bread and butter. That's kind of a plateau system where probably I'm also not trying to accelerate the graph there. Whereas the other side, in terms of what I'm trying to do more in terms of the out the box space, is where I'm trying to see if I can do large museums, large galleries, looking at more international projects, doing in different countries and zones. So that's one big goal that I have, which I'm trying to chase what I can do. And then of course I do speaking. So looking to do a lot more speaking with different organizations, working with their teams, because that gives me a lot of one, it's kind of a little business. At the same time, I would say it's a lot more learning to pick up, because you work with different teams, you kind of chew on different mindsets, you understand a lot more things. Because I don't say I'm coming here to say, or I'm coming here to find a solution, because I say it's a two-way process. While I'm saying something, I'm also picking up a lot from people's journeys and stuff like that. So I feel there's a lot more to do. And then personally on the art side, I still feel I've just done like a little dot, because that's like a ocean for centuries that's been built. So I think that's something I would say till the day I would die, I would want to continue trying doing that, because I think I can afford to and would love to. I would say my art and speaking, two things I say I can do that. What scale and all that, I haven't set for that. But yes, in terms of projects, yes, I would love to do large experience centers and more of such places to do.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Harish, sir. And best of wishes that you continue to enjoy your journey. I mean, I think that's what your message was.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Sanjay.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Gopi, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Any questions?
it's a wonderful message by Mr. Ramnath, and much of your pain is self-chosen by Khalil Gibran. So true. It's like all the pain that we go through is actually self-chosen, and no matter what it is, it's that enjoy the journey, the method in madness. Very true. The question, can you say you've arrived? No, I don't think so. I don't think we ever arrive, because I think the moment we say we arrived, I think we are dead. That's something I feel as this thing I said, life is like, I truly believe in terms of the thought, life is a journey. So you have some destination, but the day you say you arrived at the destination, I think we've hit the end, So I think it's never a destination. It's a way. It's all about the journey, It's how meandering it takes. So I would never say I've arrived. I would say I'm journeying. I'm continuing on the journey. I would rather say I've just started.
Anybody else has a question?
I have one, but I do not know whether you have time to ask.
No, please go on. Please go on. Probably we'll keep this the last question. No?
Okay.
We'll not hold Harish Lal.
Okay. I mean, Harish sir, you had said about like this is a totally uncharted territory where you met architects and landscapers and I mean those art molders and sculptures and I mean all these totally different fields. So each of them bring a vast wealth of knowledge, right? Their own discipline. It's and all these disciplines are like for centuries they have honed it. So when you see these disciplines, multiple disciplines, and with your computer engineering background, which is a very logical and process oriented and structured, so this interaction with multiple disciplines of art on one side and your orientation of structured process thinking, how does it merge in the sense that do you identify a lot of patterns together? Or you feel that a lot of openness is there in a lot of things are unanswerable. You don't have answers, but you pick up patterns and which you can use for your own creativity and creation and move further. Something like that. Could you, get what I wanted to convey to you?
Yeah. I kind of got your question. I think, yes, I kind of had, in terms of the education process, we see there are two ones. One was my graduation, which was on the engineering side. Then I went on to do my master's, which was on mass communication. So which was completely a more open thinking, process oriented thing. But if you ask me, the first few years of my life, I was more a tech kind of a thought process, even in the media. So I would spend more time in post production, say graphics, animation, editing, though we would shoot, but I would enjoy more the thought process than I would say writing. Like I still haven't published my book yet, I still haven't. So it's like certain things where you say, it creates a little bit of a, whereas there are quite a few of my friends who finished 7-8 books of theirs and they've published. So it's a difference between certain areas which will just come like this, certain areas won't. At the same time, when I'm working with a lot more people, what I have seen is, of course, yes, though it's not directly connected to engineering, but being with that background, when I sit with an architect, I just don't talk superficially. I can understand drawings. I can get down to details of what it is. I can discuss technicality elements of a drawing with an architect and work with it. At the same time, when it is a lot more conceptual, I can do a lot more artistic. So this is, and also working on the media side, on the marketing and sales. Today, if you ask me, it's kind of helped me put myself in a little of a hub and spoke model. So when I work with large builders, so I can talk to the owners in terms of understanding their vision or what they want. I work with the sales and marketing team in terms of the brand requirements, brand communication, how that is coming out. Then, of course, the construction team, the site engineers, the floor level supervisors and people like that. Then the architects, and finally specialist artists like your molders and landscapers, lighting specialists and all that. What has happened is when I started doing all this, I did this like what you would do like a little kid. I'm very curious. So I'm saying, hey, what is this? How did you do this? How did you take this? How would you wire this up? Or what kind of light will come in here? And I always maintain that constantly, because every time I said, hey, there's a new material or a new thing, I said, oh, where this can come, how this can fit in. So that is something that keeps me excited and going. At the same time, this is because of my working in different domains, puts me in a very unique spot of working with all these domains. Because otherwise, if you get into a construction, you will see all of them work in silos. The architect gives the drawing, he feels his job is done once the drawing is done. Then the construction team takes it, they just are looking at the drawing and just going. The funders or the promoters have given the money, they're just wanting to see if their vision is. The marketing team is looking at how can I sell once the building is ready. But all of them don't talk together. So I felt that whole fulcrum of actually talking together and stitching something itself is mainly you need to understand and talk each one's language in terms of, so spending time understanding and having a open-minded learning attitude, I feel is very important, because no matter how big we become, if you're very curious, I would say more than learning, I said we need to be curious. We're curious, we'll always find something more interesting to do.
Yes, sir. I agree, sir. Basically, curiosity is only which drives multidisciplinary approach.
Right.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Harish. Hope you enjoyed interacting with the group. It's a pleasure hosting you today.
Absolute pleasure. And would love to stay connected. Do reach out to me, and would be a pleasure to interact.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Harish. Do not hold you further. Thank you very much for your time, and
have a nice week. Yes.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.